So something interesting happens when you stop living your life from Monday to Monday and start living it from Sunday to Sunday. It doesn't announce itself. There's no conversion fireworks, no cinematic swelling in music. At first, it feels like a minor scheduling tweak, almost administrative. But then, slowly, like a house you've lived in for years suddenly revealing a structural flaw, everything starts to feel different. For most people, the most important day of the week is either Monday or Friday. Monday is the day of judgment, Friday is the day of parole. Even if you love your job, even if you are wildly successful at it, these days still carry a low grade emotional charge. Pressure on one end, release on the other. You live your life oriented toward what you must do or what you are finally allowed to stop doing. For me, that changed when I became a Christian, when Sunday became the anchor. Sunday, the day I go to church, the day I give an hour of my time to the Lord, the day I try, imperfectly and sometimes resentfully, not to work. At first, this felt symbolic, almost decorative, a nice spiritual accessory to an otherwise normal life. But it turns out that where you place the center of your week is not symbolic at all. It is diagnostic. You can tell what someone worships by what they give their time to. This is obvious in theory and strangely invisible in practice. We notice money, attention, energy, but time is sneakier. Time doesn't feel like an offering, it feels like reality itself. And that's the point. What you aim your time toward is what you experience as ultimate. When Monday is the center of the week, life becomes a long act of preparation and recovery. You are either getting ready to perform or you're decompressing from having performed. Rest becomes a tool. Leisure becomes a coping mechanism. Even joy has a faintly utilitarian edge, charging the battery so you can re enter the grind with marginally less resentment. But when Sunday becomes the center, something strange happens. The week no longer builds towards effort or collapses away from it. Instead, it just returns. And this return is not emotional in the way people usually mean emotional. It's not about feeling uplifted or inspired, though sometimes you do. It's about orientation, about the quiet but firm declaration that before you have done anything useful at all, before you have produced, optimized, improved, shipped, closed, fixed, you are allowed to stop. And this turns out to matter more than almost anything else. A friend of mine once said, only half joking, that anxiety is what happens when every hour has to justify its existence. Modern life agrees with him. Time is no longer something we inhabit, it's something we spend. Waste, save, invest, optimize. Even rest is evaluated for ROI. You can feel this most acutely on Sunday afternoons when the vague dread creeps in, not because anything bad has happened, but because the week is about to start asking you who you are again. Sunday worship interrupts this interrogation, not by argument, not by explanation, by practice, which is why the familiar, I believe in God, I just don't go to church, misses the point so thoroughly, it's almost impressive. This isn't primarily about belief. Belief left alone is weightless. Saying you believe in God but don't go to church is like saying you believe in fitness but don't lift weights. It's not that the belief is false, it's not. It's that it doesn't do anything. It doesn't change how you experience your body, and it doesn't change how you experience time. But going to church does. Church is not an idea, it's a physical interruption. You go somewhere, you stop doing other things. You sit, you stand, you kneel, you listen. Your body is forced to comply before your mind has finished negotiating the terms. This is not incidental. The body teaches the mind what matters long before the mind agrees. And this is why merely thinking differently about God never quite works. You don't think your way into a reordered life. You live your way into a reordered life. Rabbi Jonathan Sachs once called the Sabbath God's gift of time management to the Jewish people. And I really didn't understand what he meant until I felt it myself. Sabbath is not about rest because you're tired. God rests before anyone is tired, which means rest is not the reward for work. It's the frame around it. The Sabbath doesn't say you've earned a break. It says you are not the thing holding the world together. And this is either terrifying to you or relieving, depending on how attached you are to the illusion of control. And Sunday worship for Christians carries this logic even further. It's not just a pause in the cycle, it's the eighth day. The day after the old order closes, the day that quietly insists that death, failure, and exhaustion do not get the final word. You don't start your week with judgment, you start it after the resurrection. And this does something subtle but profound to your sense of identity. If Sunday matters most, then who you are is not finally defined by what you produce. You are someone before you are something. Every week, this truth is reasserted, not rhetorically, but architecturally, which is why going to church changes your week, even if you walk out distracted, unconvinced, or bored, even if you got nothing out of it. The point is not that you felt something. The point is that time has been reordered. And now God comes first, and then, only then, do all other things make sense. This doesn't make life easier, it makes life properly weighted. Work still matters, ambition still exists, suffering still shows up on schedule, but none of it is asked to be God anymore. And once time stops asking that of things that cannot bear it, peace, real peace, not the motivational poster kind, has room to appear. When you live Sunday to Sunday, the rest of life finally knows its place.